What's going on? How's everybody doing today? This is Jeff Mile High Hartzell back at it. We got a rainy day here in the northern front range of Colorado. So I'm going to go do a little bit of trout fishing. One thing that one of my old friends brought up when I posted my 2 videos so far was it'd be great if you could do something more for a beginner. And I think that's a great point. My wife has mentioned, like, yeah, I like your videos, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about sometimes. Now I'm kind of a fish geek, so I kind of talk that certain way about fish when I go fishing. So maybe I should focus on trying to speak a little more in layman's terms and give a little more description about everything that's going on. So I'm going to try to do that a little bit more beginning today. At the same time, I want to say my brother also mentioned the same thing, you know, it's yeah, maybe discuss more about the fish, what I'm catching, just give a little more insight. So yeah, I look to do a little bit more. Hopefully I won't bore you, but do a little more talking in these videos, a little more explaining basics, setups, flies. When people think fishing, that's generally the first thing I think is, you know, trout fishing. And I say fishing for pike with giant flies and leaders, steel leaders and getting all that stuff, or chasing carp, you know, it's even more obscure. So let's go back to the basics. Let's do some trout fishing. So I think a good rod and reel size. Reels are sized just like rods are, and it's a 0 weight up to 12. You might even go to like 14 or something like that. If you're looking to begin, I would start with, yeah, a 5, maybe a 6, something like that. That'll cover the gamut for quite a bit of stuff. So I'd get a 5 weight rod and reel to match up with each other. And then your line is weighted as well. I have a 5 weight line on my 5 weight rod and reel setup. It seemed like I've heard a lot of beginners say they went to a shop and they were recommended a sinking line. I would go the opposite way. That's me. I think if you're just going to start out fly fishing, I would start with a floating line. It's easier to cast, easier to handle, easier to kind of see what you're doing. You can always put more weight to get your flies down, but with a floating line, it gives you a lot more capability to go do stuff. And then again, if you're just beginning and you're wanting to get into it, don't go buy fanciest gear, the nicest gear, and all that sort of stuff. There's so much out there. Start with something basic. Just try to have some fun and get out there. It's a great time. Once you start fly fishing, take a little bit of the cover, the mystery out of fly fishing that so many people kind of see. It looks like it's really difficult with casting and the flies you use and all the other different rigs and everything else. It can seem daunting if you want to start, but it's not too bad once you get into it. Welcome to the water. There's fish still there. Okay, so what I have here is a pretty standard nymph rig, fishing in maybe a couple foot of water over there. So that's about 18 inches. Here's my strike indicator, fancy expensive bobber. Here is a little olive woolly bugger type fly. These guys, like I said, mimic lots of sort of stuff. Tied onto the bend of that hook is a clinch knot with a small 5X tippet. Then looks like it went pretty deep, another about 18 inches to a tiny little midge fly. This is a little black thing with a little wing on it. So that's the basic rig and your basic setup. I hope that helps you out. But if you have more questions, more specifics, there's so much more to get into. I don't want to go all the way there. So this is just to get you going. But please, if you have questions or anything else, let me know. There's a lot of different knots and connections and stuff, but we'll do that later. Alright, so what you just missed there was my first cast. My line was down in the water for a couple seconds before someone ate it. And I wasn't even ready because I was kind of looking back at the camera. That was in the water for a couple seconds as well. These fish are hungry. This guy looks like he took the bugger. Took the higher fly. That first fish took the midge, so they're eating everything. Like I said, this, you saw how quick that was. It was like a couple seconds in the water. My barbs crimped, so yeah, I have my barbs crimped. It's super easy to get that hook out. That's a nice, decent fish. Nothing huge, but he's nice. Let's get him back. Didn't get enough trout footage from yesterday, so I'm gonna go back with my dry and dropper that's still rigged up and try to hook in to a couple more trout, maybe get some nice top feed action. Alright, that was a nice little session. So it went pretty good. Definitely got a few fish. I think I missed it on the video, but my very first cast, within 3 seconds I hooked fish. Second cast, it was pretty immediate after that, but fishing the same thing, throwing the same thing, pretty quickly they clued in that me being there, and they pretty much shut down. They moved kind of as far away as they could from me, and they stayed there, and they didn't eat much. So, 2 things: patience and observation. You know, part of the observation thing is I saw what those fish were doing. I knew they weren't that hungry anymore. They might have been hungry, but I knew they weren't biting anymore. Those are the 2 biggest things to be a successful fisherman, just to begin with, is you need to have some patience before you just start throwing stuff. Take a look around, look at your settings, and see what you're getting into. It could be a safety thing in the long run. And secondly, just while you're being patient, just use your observational skills to assess your situation. Those are kind of my big tips as a broad brush stroke for fly fishing, is patience and observation. Yeah, hopefully that'll help you catch more fish. Thanks for coming along on the Jeff Mile High Hartzell fly exploits. We'll see ya next time. Alright, see ya.